Hello there, welcome to a writing vlog. This is going to be a little bit of a softer, more cozy video than I recently have been putting out. If you're new here, if you haven't been catching up on my December vlogs, I've been working really hard on getting the second draft of the second book of my trilogy, which I'm currently working on, done by the end of the year. And I did it, that is now done, and we're sort of not strictly in between projects because I have started next thing already. I will be telling you all about that later in the video, but I've been craving just slowing down a little bit. December was very writing heavy, very like logged in, trying to get the book finished, doing everything I can to just really make this happen. And I feel like I've been neglecting some other areas of my life, one of them being the fact that it is January and I don't have a word of the year, I don't have goals for 2026, I don't even have a planning system set up, So I want to take the chance to do a little bit of that this weekend. We're also gonna be working on the other project I mentioned that we will get to, and just some other creative work. I've just been craving expanding my creativity around a little bit. I want to be doing things other than writing this week, with a little bit of writing. Going back to the planning aspect, I, for the last few years, have been using Notion to set my yearly goals and set like a weekly planning system in there as well. I've been finding myself using that less and less. I stopped using the weekly planning forever ago and then stopped using the monthly planning and the quarterly planning more recently as well. And I've just been kind of craving going back to planning in a physical format. I feel like I'm more likely to do something if I write it down by hand, if I can't just delete any evidence that I wrote it down very easily. And my in-laws very kindly gave me this planner, which is super cute. It's a pre-made planner, which I haven't used a pre-made planner in years and years, long before I stopped using physical planners. But I think that's honestly what I wanted. Like, I was craving that physical planning, but I was not really wanting to be making weekly, like drawing out the lines, writing out the dates every week, because I feel like I would stop doing that very quickly as well. So this is mostly perfect, but we are going to be making it our own a little bit. So I've had a quick look at some of the starting pages, and like basically the very first thing is this expenses tracker, which I'm not going to be using as an expenses tracker, but the layout isn't bad for like monthly sort of planning, so I'm probably going to be making use of that and just change the title. Then we've got some generic planning pages which are going to be useful, and then later on we have an address book, and I have like 10 pages of address book. I do not need an address book in the slightest, so this is going to be the pages that I use for my personalizing. I'm gonna be just sticking some paper on there and making it my own. I haven't really decided what I'm doing with these pages yet, because it feels weird to me to have my yearly goals after my monthly goals. So the other option is this, also the front page, which could be a better place to put yearly goals, but then I don't know what to do with the address pages otherwise. But I don't really know what we're gonna be putting down as goals. I'm also thinking I don't want to do goals this year. I want to do something slightly different, but I'm gonna need a place to write it down, so that's step one. Hello again, it's been a couple of days since my last update. I wasn't intending on spending a couple of days without catching up, but here we are. I've been using my new planner and I am so excited that I have a physical space to be writing down my plans again, but also what I'm doing, and it's just been so nice, like having it at my desk and just reaching for it when I want to write something. It feels a lot more natural to me to do that than it is to go into Notion and fiddle around in Notion. I find Notion really good for all of my story bible and outlines and like writing projects. But for actual like keeping track of my life, I just really enjoy having something physical, and I've been really craving that, and it's just so nice to actually give myself that. I'm having a great time with it, basically. So as promised, I figured I should share what I'm currently working on, because I finished the book, the second draft of the second book in my Project Side series in my last video, and I haven't really chatted about what's next yet. And to be honest, I'm not sure what's gonna be happening next. The original plan was going to be a really quick pass through book 1 and then a really quick but slightly less quick pass through book 2. So I was thinking 1 month for book 1, 2 months for book 2, which would put me all the way to April. So in the second quarter I wanted to be working on my spring book, Project Voice, which I was gonna work on spring last year, but then I didn't get to it because of like family stuff and things. But one thing that I'm trying to avoid at the minute is making that many long-term plans. Like, I feel like I'm not very good at just allowing myself to do what feels right in the moment, which is really the main reason that I didn't want to set any specific goals this year. I am not the sort of person that needs specific goals, because I am very good at accomplishing my goals within reason. Like, extenuating circumstances aside, in general, if I say I'm gonna do something, I will do it. And I don't think that's always a good thing. I think I lean far too heavily in that direction, and I think being able to just allow myself to work on the thing that's currently calling me would be a lot healthier for me. A lot of the time I'm really excited about a future idea, but because I want to finish something else first, by the time I get to the future idea, I'm no longer excited for it. But then it's already in my planner, so I'm like, it's in my planner, so I'm gonna do it. But then I might be excited for something else at that point. And I just think I shouldn't be thinking that far into the future. I think it's just not very good for me. All that waffle aside, what I'm currently working on is I'm doing a reread of the first book in the series. And without trying to get too far ahead, the plan is just to do a revision of this. A quick revision, but potentially more than a month. I'm really enjoying just going through it very slowly at the minute. We're 1 week into January, almost 1 week into January, and I'm only like 6 chapters through the reread, so I'm just really enjoying taking my time, reading it slowly, leaving myself a ton of notes, and it's been really fun to just be back in this slightly more polished story compared to the absolute mess that is the second book, and just allowing myself to really noodle with the details. I'm not actually making any changes, we are just reading, but just leaving myself little notes and just thinking about things a little bit more deeply. I really want this pass to narrow down on those little details, those little inconsistencies. I still have problems in this draft with inconsistent character descriptions, couple of world building elements that like change around a bit, just little things that are no longer affecting the big plot line and affecting big changes, but things that make the book feel a lot more polished and a lot more clean and a lot more book-shaped, if you will. And I just don't see a reason to try and do this in 1 month if I'm just enjoying taking my time with it, really. So I'm just gonna keep going until I stop feeling like doing this, and then I will change to something else, whatever I happen to be drawn to at that moment. One thing that I've picked up on as I've been doing this reread of these first few chapters is that I seem to be over-editing some of them. And this is really, really obvious to me for the first half a page of the book. Which was a bit of a shock, like reading through this first half a page and being like, oh my god, this is so bad. Like, the writing is so jumpy. I can tell that I've just changed my mind a lot of times, and that I've tried to make a lot of changes and improvements where it just feels like it was written by 5 different people, because that's probably how long it's been in the works for. Like, I've changed enough to be the equivalent of 5 different writers in that time. And it just feels overdone. Like, if I compare it to the chapter right after, which is less edited, but probably a lot stronger and a lot more streamlined. Yeah, like, I think the first half a page probably just needs me to rewrite it all in one go to solve some of these problems, and I think that that's a good thing for me to notice going into what is effectively going to be draft 6 for this book. I don't want to be over-editing things. I want things to be good, but I want to edit them just enough for them to still have that spark of that initial writing while fixing the things that actually need fixing. I think my own perfectionism might be getting in my way here, where I'm improving things because nothing I write is ever good enough, but then by continuing to change things, I'm actually just making it worse. So I'm just trying to take on that lesson from this reread and really pay attention to it when I do start making changes, because I don't want to make my story worse. If at all possible, that would be a rather bad thing to do. Hello there, happy Sunday. I have some pretty big news that I want to share with you, but it's gonna be a bit of a long day, so let's make a matcha first. Just ignore the fact that my fridge door is broken. Big scoop, because we're gonna be needing all the caffeine today. This is something that I've been kind of like hesitant to talk about. It sort of started last week and I haven't done any updates to this vlog since. And I think part of the reason is just I've been too in my head about this. I think not necessarily the news themselves, but the way that the news came about are really relevant to some of the things that I've been talking about in this video already. And I think it would be fun to just have a little chat about the whole thing. So we're gonna do that. So good. So, what is this mysterious news that I'm making far too much of a fuss about? Last week I went to what I'm gonna call an artsy location to keep things as vague as possible so I don't dox myself, but I went to an artsy location with a friend, and this is a place that I go to quite regularly, and they have a news board, like a bulletin board type thing, and typically they have posters for upcoming artsy events, but also knitting and crafting events and the occasional writing related things. And on this occasion they had a very particular poster about a writing contest. Now the fact that I go to this location quite regularly is relevant because that poster has been there for months and I knew that it was there. I had seen it before, I recognized it as I walked past it last week. So none of this was news to me, but the way in which I looked at it seems to have changed. If you're into vision boarding and goal setting and all of the like personal development community, you might know that one of the reasons that things like that work is because your brain filters out information as it goes about its daily life, and if you tell yourself that there is something that you want and you remind yourself that you want this regularly, then you're more likely to actually pick up opportunities that lead to this thing that you want, just because otherwise this information is gonna get filtered out and you're not gonna notice. And I think what I might have been doing previously is effectively the opposite of that. I have always been very particular and very detailed in what I want to achieve in the next year, in the next few months. I'm always super like on the dot and like, okay, this is how far I need to get to, this is the plan, and we are sticking to the plan no matter what else happens. We are not deviating from this plan. And that is something that I talked about earlier in the video. It's something that I want to deviate away from because I don't think it's good for me. And I think when I saw this poster this time round last week, I didn't have a plan. So I noticed it. Where previously I might have seen this potential opportunity as a distraction, now I recognized it for the opportunity that it was, and it actually registered in my brain that this thing was there. And as I said, I've read it before, like I've stood and waited for a drink in front of this poster multiple times in the last few months. And I just read it, was like, oh yeah, that's interesting, and walked away. And this time I didn't walk away, this time I took a picture of it. I scanned the QR code and I looked into it. And it's just really interesting to me how that happened, because I think if I had set a deadline with this reread and I had told myself, okay, we're gonna reread this book in the first 2 weeks of January, and then the second 2 weeks of January we're gonna edit it, I don't think I would have noticed it. Me making the decision to participate in this thing requires me to pivot from what I'm currently working on. And the fact that I had the brain space and the just permission to myself to do that, to work on whatever is calling me in the moment, which was one of my intentions for the year, and that worked, like within, it's the 10th, is it? It's the 11th of January, like with 11 days into this, and it's already presenting me with opportunities that I wouldn't otherwise have spotted. Like, that is just so cool to me. And then the other side of this, because the first step was noticing the poster, the second step was completely overthinking whether I actually want to participate in this thing. Realistically, by the time this video comes out, this competition will be over, but I'm gonna put the information over here anyway, just so you can take a look. But there are 12 prizes, 6 of which are significant and the other 6 are sort of like lower prizes. And the first prize, should you win, is actually agent representation for traditional publishing. And I want to self-publish, which is probably part of the reason I've been ignoring this poster for so long. But when I looked at it this time round, it just sort of hit me so completely differently than it has in the past. And to be fair, only 1 prize is agent representation, the other 5 are mentoring by an agent, which I feel like that could be useful even if I decide to self-publish, and that is why I was entertaining the idea in the first place. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, maybe I want to win, maybe I want that agent representation to just be served up on a silver plate to me without having to query. Like, if I participated and if I won, would I consider traditional publishing over self-publishing, which is the thing that I've been chasing for years now. And I don't know that I have an answer to that yet. That's probably a hurdle I will get to if I win, which, to be fair, is very unlikely. But the more I allowed myself to think about this and the more I started daydreaming about it, the more I started to question why I want to self-publish in the first place. And there's an aspect of self-publishing that really appeals to me. I love the idea of complete creative control, not just over the writing, but over the entire publishing process. I love the idea of learning exactly how publishing works and doing every single step myself. That sounds really enticing to me, and it's the main thing that's calling me towards self-publishing. But at the same time, I can't help but wonder if traditional publishing might give my book a better chance, if not doing everything myself but working with professionals might make the book not only better as a book, but also more likely to be seen by people because they actually know how to market a book, unlike me, who is trying to learn all of these things. And I've just been questioning these things because, yes, I am attracted to self-publishing, but is the reason that trad publishing makes me feel kinda icky and like I steer away from it because I don't like trad publishing, or is it a confidence problem? And is it just a matter of I don't think my book is worth other people investing their time, money and effort into? Is it something that I don't think is good enough for, not necessarily to trad pub, because I think self-pub is a perfectly valid option. It's more about the fact that if I'm self-publishing, it is my investment, and if I'm trad publishing, my agent would have to put faith into this book, and their career would on some level be dependent on my book doing well. a publisher would have to put money behind this book and would then rely on it to do well to make that investment back. It feels a lot more like an inconvenience to other people for me to wrap up. And I don't know if that is the reason I'm shying away from it. I'm just asking myself that question. And hopefully between now and prices being announced, I will know the answer, or maybe I won't. Maybe when that list comes out, if I'm disappointed, I will know that it is actually something I wanted, and then I will feel comfortable pursuing it. And there's also an aspect of the fact that I am willing to put time and effort into this competition means that, at least on a subconscious level, I believe that I have a chance to win. I don't think I would put my time and attention into this otherwise. And I think the fact that I can do that I can tell myself that it is worth participating, means that my confidence has just grown so much since last year. And I'm just wondering how differently I am going to think about what I want out of my books, what I want out of my writing career by the time that I'm actually ready to publish, because this is a competition for books that are not finished. Maybe in another year, when I'm feeling a little bit closer to actually being ready, I might change my mind about what I want. And maybe that's okay. The other thing that's really funny to me is I've been walking past this poster so many times in the last few months. The week I spotted it was the last week that this competition was open. It's been open for 4 months. And I spotted it on the final week. And then out of that final week, I spent the first 3 days overthinking whether I should participate or not. And honestly, being scared of winning. Like, being scared of the decisions I would have to make if I won. That is such a stupid thought to have. Like, surely winning cannot be the worst case scenario, right? But since getting over myself a little bit, I have been spending the last few days on the actual entry. The entry is quite similar to what you would provide if you were querying. You just don't need a query letter. So I have to write a synopsis, and I have to effectively line edit the first 10,000 words of the book, which I was gonna do anyway. Like, that's why I started that reread. I spent the first few weeks of the year literally leaving myself notes on how to make the first few chapters of this book shine as much as possible. And now I have a reason to implement them faster than I thought I would. So I've kind of paused the reread, and I'm working on really polishing up those first 10,000 words. And today's the last day. This is due tomorrow, but I'm working tomorrow. I would really like to just submit it today, get it out of my mind, and get back to my reread from tomorrow. I had never written a synopsis before. I had to Google how to write a synopsis, but I've got something more or less decent, says the person that's never written a synopsis, so for all I know it could be terrible, but it's probably getting close to the best of my ability at the current time. I want to tweak it a little bit more and make it a little bit tighter, and like make sure that I'm only including what's relevant. And other than that, I still have 3,000 words left to line edit, so that I have the completed 10,000 words that are as polished as I can make it. And after those 3,000 words, I'm probably gonna do another pass through the whole thing. So we're line editing 13,000 words today. Which is why I need caffeine. I don't know, it feels so weird to me to even admit to myself that this is something that I want and that maybe I do want to win. But I think I do. So we're gonna do our best.